Good morning, and welcome to a live version of Huddle Up with Mark, the Fund Coach. I'm Mark Duncan. I am a fundraising coach who empowers nonprofit leaders with the skill and confidence to secure significant gifts from wealthy donors. And today I'm coming to you live. I'm probably going to do this more often, probably once a week, just to share some insights on what I call relationship fundraising and to give you some tips that I think will be helpful and to take any questions you might have. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat. And I just need to make sure I can see everybody. That does drop anything in the chat. Feel free to do that and I'll answer your questions. I did get a couple of questions that came in via email. So I sent out a notification to folks who are on my email list about this. If you would like to get on my email list, feel free to go to my website, which is thefundcoach.com. You can actually subscribe to my weekly Huddle Up video series, which is a pre-recorded series that comes out every week. But this is live. And so if you want to get notified for about any of these live broadcasts or workshops or anything I do, feel free to do that. So good morning. It's great to be here. It is a Wednesday morning, April 17th. Hopefully we've gotten tax day behind us. Many of you nonprofit leaders are probably in the second quarter of your fiscal year, or you're in your fourth quarter of your fiscal year, depending on when it ends. So it's a critical time, no matter how you look at it, and making sure that you are being successful from a fundraising perspective on all four quarters. Sometimes we think that the first quarter has to be a quarter that doesn't get any love from a fundraising perspective. And that doesn't have to be the case if you manage your fundraising cash flow properly. And a lot of that just has to do with the cycle of your major donors, your big donors, who can be structured to give between January and March 31st. But what I want to talk about today, before I get into any questions, is I want to talk about this whole idea of moving from transactional giving to relational giving. So first, let me explain what transactional giving is. Many of you in the nonprofit space are engaged in fundraising. Probably you should be engaged in fundraising all the time. Should be doing year round. And a good fundraising strategy includes tactics that include transactional giving as well as relational giving. And so what I mean by transactional is this. If you are engaged in direct mail fundraising, you're sending out a letter to your constituents either once a year, twice a year. Ideally, you should be doing it 4 times a year to make sure that you are staying in front of them with your message and giving them an opportunity to give. So you could do that through direct mail. You can do that through email, which is also another form of transactional giving. Whenever you have a one-day social media-based campaign, that's considered transactional. So Giving Tuesday, which happens toward the end of the year. If you're in a part of a community that engages in a one-day campaign that you participate in, that would be also transactional. It's a great way to get new donors. All of these are a great way to get new donors, and you should be doing them, okay? Events, believe it or not, events are transactional. Even though you're going out and you're getting sponsors to sponsor the event, you're selling tickets to the general public to participate in the event, whether it's a golf outing, a gala, whatever that may be. It's transactional. It's transactional, one, because they're literally paying you for something that they're going to get in return, which is an opportunity to participate in the gala, in the golf tournament, knowing that the funds that are raised are going to support a good cause. But it is actually transactional, okay? And it is, again, a good thing to include in your fundraising strategy, but not what you should be relying on solely, okay? So and grants. I'll throw grants in there as well. Grants, I think, are transactional. They can be relational, depending on how you are pursuing them and the manner in which you're doing so. But if you are going out and you're seeking a grant to fund either a particular initiative or general operations, and you're searching online and you're looking for an application, and you read the criteria, you look at the deadline, you fill out the application, and you submit, that is transactional. Okay. You are simply filling out information, and there's no relationship necessary for you to complete that process. Okay. So those are just some of, there are probably a few more examples of transactional fundraising, but those are what I mean by transactional. And by the way, those are the ones that a lot of organizations tend to focus on, and actually do only those, right? So they're doing only direct mail or email solicitation, or maybe they're doing that, and they're doing events, and they're doing grants, right? Again, all of those things are great as part of a robust fundraising plan. But one thing you're leaving out is the relational aspect of it, what I call relationship fundraising. And so converting, and this is the objective, is to convert those individuals who are giving transactionally to giving based on a relationship. And so if you aren't including relationship fundraising in your fundraising strategy, you are missing out on significant dollars for your organization. Now, if you've ever seen me in a workshop, or have met with me personally, or have any seen of any of my videos, you know I always talk about how effective fundraising is as it relates to individuals. When you look at the data every single year, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75% of all giving in the United States comes from individuals, not foundations, not corporations, but actual people. And so that is why it is important for you to, and yes, a lot of that comes from transactional giving, but the vast majority of the significant gifts, they come as a result of a relationship. And so what you should be doing is looking at those individuals who have been giving to you transactionally, and learning more about them to find out which ones you need to be transitioning from transactional givers to relational donors. Okay. And so, what you should be doing on a regular basis is taking a look at your donor database. Now, I'm going to back up here a little bit, because I often run into people who don't even use a database to manage their giving. If you aren't doing that, that just goes without saying. You need that tool. That tool will help you organize, uh, book your gifts, track your donors, pull data, will pull reports that will inform how you should move forward when it comes to building your fundraising strategy, which hopefully includes relationship fundraising. And so, what you should be doing is you should be looking at those donors in your database that have been giving, especially those that have been giving for 5 years or more, right? Those consecutive donors. I call them those donors your loyals, right? Those are your donors that have been giving consecutively for 5 years. Some of them may be giving you 25, 50, $75, a year. And those are the folks you need to be looking at. And so what does that mean? So now you need to find those people who you believe have capacity to make a larger gift. Now, that larger gift is not going to come from repetitive email solicitations or another direct mail piece. It's going to come as a result of a relationship. So once you've identified people who have been giving to you on a regular basis, who have capacity, and the only way that you know that is through research and wealth screening. Wealth screening is critical. Okay. And if you're interested in learning more about wealth screening, drop me a note in the comment, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. And I can certainly talk to you more about um, and connect you with a really great wealth screening company that I work with does a fantastic job. You've got to be able to identify the people who are in your universe that have a capacity. Once you've done that, now it's time for you to start the process of building a trusting relationship with them. So you're not going to just pick up the phone and say, hey, I just did some research and found out that you're a millionaire, and I'd like to ask you for $1 million. Would you give that to me? And oh, by the way, my name is Mark, right? So that doesn't work that way. But what you can do is begin the process of building that relationship. So you can reach out to them, preferably by phone, followed up with an email, and then getting in touch with them and asking them for an opportunity to meet with you in person over coffee. And all you're doing at that meeting is you're getting to know them, right? You're just building a relationship with them. And this relationship is something that can last for quite some time. Your objective is to gain their trust, let them know, get them to know you, not necessarily personally, because you are basically an ambassador for your organization. You are the conduit between their generosity and the need that you have, which best serves the people that you serve. And so your objective while you're building this relationship is to find out what's important to them about what you do as an organization, and to tell them the story about your mission and how it impacts the lives of the people that you serve. And throughout this process, what you will do and what you will learn is what is important to this donor. And at some point, you will be ready to ask them for a more significant gift. So if they've been a donor that's been giving $50 a year, now that they've had the opportunity to meet with you, perhaps go on a tour of your facility or organization, maybe see your mission in action, you are now positioning yourself to ask them for a more significant gift, which they will likely give you because it was based on a relationship. So now you can move somebody who has been giving you $50,000 a year to perhaps giving you, what did I say, giving you $50 a year, um, and moving them to giving you $1,000 a year or $1,500 a year, right? So that's the objective, to move that $50 donor to giving you 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, maybe even $5,000 a year, depending on their capacity and their interest in your mission and what you're doing. And yes, these dollars can support annual operations. You do not have to have a capital campaign to be raising money from individuals who have capacity. I see a lot of organizations only engaged in relationship fundraising during a capital campaign. You should be engaged in relationship fundraising all the time. So when the time comes for you to do a capital campaign, you've already laid the groundwork. You've already built the foundation for a strong capital campaign, because now there's no question among your donors as to who you are and what you do and how well you do it, because you have already flexed that muscle, right? That allows you to stay in front of them all the time, not just when you need something new and shiny. Okay, so your relationship fundraising strategy should be to support your annual operations, right? That's the objective, right? And when it comes time to do a capital campaign, then you can shift to that. And quite frankly, you should be doing both. You can actually continue to raise money for annual operations and raise money for a capital campaign from the same donors, right? You just have to lay the groundwork now. So if you're not engaged in relationship fundraising on a regular basis to support your annual operations, I would encourage you to do so. It is critical to success. There are so many organizations right now that are in financial crisis. Some of this is on the heels of COVID-19, and all of those dollars that were available are now gone. And that was an opportunity for you to begin, if you weren't engaged in relationship fundraising. The pandemic should have been a wake up call for you to make that transition while you were actually getting funds, perhaps from other sources, to support you as an organization while you were going through that tough time. Now that's behind us, and now would have been the time for you to be engaged in relationship fundraising on a regular basis. But it's never too late. You can always start. You don't have to wait till the beginning of a fiscal year. You don't have to wait to the beginning of a quarter. You can start today. Okay. So the objective is to move your individual donors who have been giving to you in a transactional way, those that have capacity. So that's going to require you to do some research and wealth screening, and then reach out to them, start building a relationship with them, and ask them for that gift that will increase your philanthropic support in an exponential way. Okay. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat right now, but I do have a couple questions that came in, and which I will read and respond to. The first question is, what are the most effective strategies for identifying and cultivating relationships with potential major donors within our community? So if this is from somebody who is um, working in an organization that does serve a local community, then the best thing you could be doing is making sure that you're telling your story in an impactful way. Uh, I cannot stress that enough. Sometimes we're so focused on making sure that we raise the dollars that we forget to tell a compelling story about how we're impacting the lives of the people that we serve. And the most effective way to do that, with all of these tools at our disposal, use social media. If you don't have a Facebook page or an Instagram account, I would suggest that you set one up and use those platforms to share those stories. Great videos is a great way to do that. Photos of your mission in action. Let people see that you are actually doing the work. You are fulfilling the promise that you've made in your mission statement, and that there are opportunities for people to support you so that you can continue to do that. So that is one very effective strategy to at least making sure you get the word out. In terms of identifying, cultivating relationships, I just talked about the identification piece. Um, Look at the folks that are right under your nose, people that have been giving to you on a regular basis. You need to go deeper, and you need to take a look at those folks to see who has capacity, and then get in front of them and build a relationship. They already trust you because they're giving to you. Now you're going to build on that trust by transitioning from transactional to relational. And that is where you're going to find, potential major donors who will give to support your organization and ultimately impact the community that you serve. So I hope that answers that question. I've got one more question here. What steps can we take to create personalized cultivation plans for prospective major donors? So I just talked about what you need to do to find out those folks who are in your universe already, who have capacity. Once you've done that, as you begin to connect with them, You're actually going to be building that strategy as you go. You're going to allow the relationship and the interest of that donor to help you build that strategy initially. So you may go into that relationship knowing that this person may be able to make a $5,000 gift, but you may not know exactly what they're interested in about your organization, right? Could be something that you're doing that is already part of your annual operations that you can highlight and ask for support for that. Maybe they're interested in supporting something in the future, right? So you want to make sure that you are getting to know them so that you can build the case for how you're going to pursue that gift from them. But it doesn't, research will only tell you so much, right? You may be able to discern. In fact, I know you can with great research, you can discern where individual giving is going to from a particular donor. Maybe they're giving to education, maybe they're giving to healthcare, maybe they're giving to social services. And so you can find that information out in your research. That'll give you a sense of what's important to them. And if your organization happens to match what they're giving to, you're already ahead of the game. And so you should, that's something that will help you. But as you begin to develop that relationship and asking good questions and listening, it will dictate who or dictate how you should move with that donor. Okay. And then once you have that, you're going to continue, because once you ask for that gift and get it, you're going to come back and you're going to ask again. Okay. But you're not going to have nothing happen in between. You're going to continue to maintain that rapport and that relationship with that person so that you can come back and ask them for that gift again. Okay. So those are the questions I have. Are there any questions that people have right now? If not, that is okay. Um, you can certainly drop any of your questions that you have below this video. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, you can certainly drop your questions and comments there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can do them there as well. And I will respond as quickly as I possibly can. All right. Thank you all for watching, whether you're watching it live or on the replay. I'll be back again. Uh, please bring your questions about anything having to do with relationship fundraising. It is the most effective way to raise money. If you want to learn how to do it and do it well and take your fundraising from what it is now to 10 times that, if you're not engaged in relationship fundraising, this is the place to be. So happy to be here. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time. Have a fantastic and wonderful day. Thanks.